All right. And then YouTube's up. Okay. Oh. One step forward and two steps back. You in or out? Huh? In or out? Okay. We're going to try in. I don't know. We'll see how that works because she's full of herself this morning. Oh, oh, oh. Oh. So it's 9:30, and I can't see from here who's with me. Hey, Cheryl. Good morning. Good to see you. And hello over on YouTube. I don't know who's over there, but all right. So if you know me at all, you know that the weather really affects my practice. And not like, well, yeah, sometimes I don't want to for sure. Like it's been great for 2 days, so I'm probably good. But like when it's bright and sunny, I've got lots of energy and we do big things. And when it's kind of crummy or cold, then we kind of tune in. Times of the year too, obviously, make a difference. So today I'm trying to be in between because the weather is still nice. It's just kind of gray, and it's the weekend, so there's things to do. So I still need to be in a little bit like that. So because what's going on here, we're going to work this morning, right? So it'll be a little bit of folding or whatever, but we're going to focus on the core to also sort of bring in the energy. And if you have days like that too, and you want to share that with me, and then I can, well, Saturdays anyway, or Fridays, and what you're prepping for the weekend. Just shoot me a message, and I can incorporate things for your mood as well. So yeah, that's where we are, and that's kind of how I practice, and therefore that's how you get to practice too with me. So remember that everything comes from here every day. This is just going to be a little bit core specific. So hopefully you'll feel it when you roll out of bed tomorrow morning, at least a little bit. So let's begin here with our heels aligned to the groin. Take inner thigh rotation, of course, so that we feel upright on the pelvis. Always important to have, especially when you're working with the middle, to have everything aligned properly. You don't want to be squeezing muscles if your hips are all wonky and things like that, because that can give you some back problems or hips. So then lifting the pelvic floor up, lower belly in and up. We're tall through the sides, but relax through that upper belly, right? So yes, this has a job, but this is where the energy comes from. So relaxing the hips and shoulders, extend out through the crown of your head, feel really tall. Go ahead and close your eyes if you haven't already, and just take a moment to be here, aware of what's going on in your body, how you're feeling, what you need. Begin to watch the breath. And for a moment here, let's work that upper abdominal area. So the lower belly is still engaged. That's still doing its job. Go ahead with your next exhalation and get really, really empty. Feel your upper belly draw back toward your spine to really lift the diaphragm and dump all that stale stuff out of there. When you go to inhale, stick the belly out, dropping the diaphragm and filling the lower lobes of the lungs up. And then exhale it all away. Really make it over-exaggerated. So really pulling that upper belly in to get rid of the air, and then poking it out to fill it back up again. As you're doing that, do you notice your lower belly changing? Is it easier or harder to keep it engaged? So keeping that engagement in mind of the upper belly, make it a little bit more like your normal yoga flow, right? Airflow. And then let's start out just really nice and gentle this morning. With the next exhalation, go ahead and drop your chin down to your chest. Inhale, lift your face toward the ceiling. Keep the back of the neck long. Go ahead and exhale, take the chin back down again. Inhale, lift one more time. Come on back to center, exhale. Take a nice big breath in. And then exhale, turn your face over to the right. Bring it back to the middle. And then exhale, take it over. Next exhale, take it over to the left. Back to center again on your inhale. To the right again. This time let your chin roll toward your shoulder and all the way down to the center of the chest. Bringing your head back up to the middle. Take it over to the left. And then the chin rolls down. And we'll lift the head again. This exhalation, go ahead and drop your right ear over towards your right shoulder. Try and keep that right shoulder relaxed and just let your head be heavy. If you want a little more stretch down the shoulder, you can extend the left arm out. Inhaling, we'll come back up to the center again. And then switch sides. So just let the head flop over to the left. Nice and tall with the spine, engaged with the belly. If you want to add the right arm reaching away. With the next inhale, we'll go ahead and bring it back up to the middle again. Let's extend both arms out. And on the next inhale, stretch them up. Exhale them back down. Again like that. One more time. Inhale, back up to the top again. And exhale, just the right hand back to the mat, giving yourself a little tip to that side. Keep the left sit bone grounded. Take a big breath. And then inhaling, bring yourself back to center. And we'll switch, taking it over to the left. Same idea here. Coming back to the middle. And then with the breath, one more time on each side. So over to the right. Inhaling center. And exhaling left. Back up to the middle. And release the arms. Keeping the spine nice and tall, we're gonna bring the right hand to the left knee, left hand behind the back, an easy little twist. Keep those nice big breaths flowing. See if you can release your inner hips here, your shoulders are relaxed. And let's come on back through the middle, over to the second side. And then back to the middle and over to that left side again, making this one a little bit bigger. So maybe sit a little taller, maybe use your hand against the knee to rotate around a little deeper. Just kind of play with it, see where it goes. It's still very early. Let's release that back to the middle again and over to the second side. Same idea, just let it happen. And then let's come back to the center again. And then we're going to come around onto all fours. So take your time finding your foundation with your hands nice and even on the four corners. Belly's pulled in even here. A little bit. So here, we're going to move some cat cows. So on the inhale, drop the belly toward the floor. On the exhale, round your spine toward the ceiling. So take your time in and out with your breath. So once more in each direction. And then we'll find the middle again. So back to this tabletop position. Again, belly's pulled in here. We're going to start off by simply extending the right leg back. Heel in line with the hip, toes pointing at the floor, pressing through that heel to make the leg feel like it's working. And then there, extending the left arm forward. Stretching in opposite directions. Nice big breaths. And then we're going to release it down. Same thing on the second side. Extend that left leg back. Take your time with it. And when you're ready, extend the right arm forward. Let's go ahead and release that side. And then we're going to add in here. I'm going to turn. Maybe I won't kick them off. Maybe. So let's go ahead and start back again with that right leg extended, left arm out. We're going to flow with breath here. On the exhale, bring the elbow and knee together in the middle. Inhale, extend back out. And then exhale the arm over to the left and the leg around to the right here. Inhale back to center. Exhale as you squeeze in. Inhale as you reach out. Exhale to the sides. Inhale back to the middle. All right, so let's take just a couple more flows like that. With your breath as slow and controlled as you can. One more time. back to center, just go ahead and release, hand and knee to the mat. So that same idea. Make sure the belly stays engaged. It'll be a lot less work on the other ends then. So left leg and right arm. And when you're ready, add in the motions. Okay, so exhaling, you squeeze together. Inhaling, extend away. Exhale out to the sides. And inhale back to center. Got one more flow. When you are back to center, just go ahead and release, hand and knee to the mat. Gently from there, go ahead and sit yourself back into a child's pose. So let's go ahead and extend the arms forward. Reach away from the body, reach around the four corners of your hands like we had, and let's lift into our first down dog. And just let yourself wiggle. Check in, let your hands and feet feel far enough apart from each other. And then we're going to go ahead and settle into that. So sinking through the heels, pressing the chest back. Check in that your head hangs between your arms. And then making the belly, making sure that the belly's still engaged here. With the inhale, let's shift forward, come into a plank. And on the exhale, take yourself back into down dog. So just slow and controlled like that. Remember, you can always drop to your knees if that's what your body needs. Keeping the belly engaged to protect the lower back. Let's go once more. When you're back in down dog, go ahead and drop back down into child's pose again for a moment. Let's go back to down dog again then. Sinking yourself in here, pressing through the heels. Let's lift the left leg, and we're going to make sure we keep the hips square here. Belly's pulled in, extending, especially through that left heel. And then see about taking the leg out to the left. So sometimes bending the knee will be a little bit easier. The leg can be fully extended here for a moment if you like. Notice how the weight wants to shift in the rest of the body. Try and stay centered. If you haven't already, bend the left knee and hug it into the chest, tight as you can. Come up on the right toes, shifting forward. We're going to step the left foot to the hands. And hopefully they made it somewhere near the hands. And if not, we wiggle. So the right knee can be to the floor or not. We're just going to wiggle around into the hips a little bit here. And then find your center. Imagine pulling the legs toward each other, feeling the hips square. The spine is long, the belly is in, and we'll take the left leg straight-ish. Right, so prop if you need to prop, of course. Prop up on the thigh, even if that's you. Let's take another nice big breath. And then bend back into the knee. Maybe into the hips, maybe a little lower. Stay nice and focused here though. Putting the hands on the floor if you prefer, or climbing up on the thigh. Bring the upper body more vertical, intensifies the stretch. You can hang on or reach the arms up. Releasing the hands. Let's make our way back to our down dog. And we'll do the same thing on the second side. So again, kind of setting up in the center here, and then just lifting the right leg away from the floor. Keep everything else as it is as you take the leg out to the right, again, bending at the knee if that's where you need to be. And then go ahead and bend if you haven't already. Hug that knee into the chest and step forward, lunging on the second side. So again, knee up or down, your option, of course. Wiggling around into the hips. And then finding your center, taking the right leg straight. So wiggle and adjust. We're not always in the perfect position right away, okay? Especially if we sometimes rush into the pose. Or as your muscles start to release a little bit. Bend back into the knee. Let the hips come down. Keep the hips nice and square. Keep sinking the lower body and climb up on the thigh. Lift the upper body, maybe lift the arms. And let's release it. Make our way back to down dog. So from this down dog here, let's go ahead and walk the feet forward and come to a standing fold. Placing the feet up underneath the hip bones, make sure your toes point forward. And then let's go ahead and bring the hands up to the thighs. Press away and bring the upper body parallel to the floor. So check in that your hips over your ankles. Ideally, your legs are straight. If your hamstrings are that tight, maybe they have to be a little bent. You can absolutely lean with your hands on your thighs here for support. Keep the shoulders back and the belly working. If that's all good, take the arms down the sides of the body. So hugging into the hips and the waist, palms face the floor, head in line with the spine. If that's all good, extend the arms out to the sides. And if that's still good, extend your arms forward. So the legs are still straight, the hips are over the ankles, the shoulders are down and back. If it's too intense, you take it back a step or two or whatever. We're going to take one more breath. Bend into the knees and into a chair. And again, the hands are wherever you need the hands to be, right? Take another big breath. And with the next inhale, stretch to the ceiling and release it all. All right? So, she go? All right, so we're going to take our sun salutes. Remember, you can modify things, you can add on or not, right? So let's just start off nice and simple at the top of the mat here. With the inhale, stretch the arms to the ceiling. On the exhale, take yourself into a fold. Inhale, come halfway up. And then exhale, step yourself back to your plank. From the knees, if you'd like, down in the belly. Hands next to the sides, we hug our elbows in and just roll the shoulders for a nice little baby cobra. And then release that up and back to down dog. Inhaling, step forward, fold. Next inhale, halfway up. And fold it back over. All the way up, reaching for the ceiling. Exhale, release at the top. Another one like that. We'll inhale, lift. Exhale, fold. Halfway up. Exhale, plank. Down to the belly. Rolling into the shoulders, pull with the hands, squeezing those elbows. Release it, back to down dog. And inhale, step forward, fold. Halfway up again. Exhale, fold into the fold again. All the way up. And release. So as we've been doing, the next one is yours. We're going to keep that same pattern unless, of course, like I said, you wanted to add or subtract something from the flow. All right. So this is your only cue. You're on your own. Inhale, lift the arms. And go. So we've got one more sun salute. We're going to add in the extra pieces, again, if that's where you're at. So modify if you need. Let's go ahead and inhale, sit into a chair. And then exhale into the fold. Inhaling halfway up. Exhale, step it back into plank. Taking it down to the belly. Rolling into cobra. Pull, maybe press into your hands, keep the elbows in. Exhale, step yourself back to down dog. Inhale the right foot forward for a lunge, dropping the back knee or heel to lift the upper body. Exhale back down and into down dog. Inhale as you slide forward for a plank. Exhale down to the belly. Roll into your cobra. Back to down dog. Left foot forward this time, inhale. Heel or knee to the mat, we'll lift. And then back down again into down dog. Forward for plank. Exhale to the belly. Into cobra. And then back down dog. Hold this down dog or drop on into child's pose. Nice big breaths. If you did drop into child's pose, lift back to down dog. And with the next inhale, we'll step the feet forward into the fold. Coming halfway up. And then back over again. Into chair. And exhale to release it all. All right. So let's go ahead. Next. Take a little step, or a big step back with the left foot. We're going to work in a triangle here. So right toe is pointing forward, left toe is cut in a little bit Keeping the pelvis open to the side of your mat more than the front, as much as you can, right? So at some point that knee is gonna wanna go fall in. So just kind of find where it is for you. So keeping the belly engaged, we're gonna extend the arms out, reach forward over the toes, and then let the right hand fall and the left hand lift. So we're in this plane, right? Imagine being between two pieces of glass. If your butt's sticking out too much, you're gonna break the glass. If your shoulders and head fall forward, you're gonna break the glass, right? So keeping everything in alignment, keeping the belly in. So we don't wanna overtax the back. We want it to be the obliques and the belly, at least as much. So you can lean if you need to lean, but otherwise this arm is sort of dangles, right? And if you want to make it harder, extend that right arm forward. And if that's not enough fun, extend the left arm over your ear. You breathing? Let's open the arms again. Lean on the leg if you need to, of course. For right now, let's bring that left hand in because we're going to balance. Go ahead and bend into the right knee and take the right hand forward of the right foot. Trying to stay as open to this side as we can. Pop the left foot in until we can lift those toes away from the floor. Maybe take the right leg straight again, keeping the body open to the side. And then you get tricky with it, maybe, by letting this right arm just dangle. Maybe the left arm reaches up and over. Bend into the knee, drop that back foot into a warrior two. And let's go ahead and take the right leg straight, bring the hands to the hips and take a straddle. So if it's a little wide or a little narrow, make sure you figure that out. Toes are pointing forward here. So the hands are gonna stay on the hips, take the elbows back so the chest stays open, and take yourself into a forward fold. Maybe stop in the middle, give yourself a moment, keeping the four corners of the feet even, hips in line with the ankles, and then into your full fold, however long that takes you to get there. Go ahead and release the hands toward the floor, bending at the knees if you feel the need to do that. And then index and middle fingers are gonna wrap around the big toes. Elbows bend out to the sides, either way, even if your knees are bent. You can pull on your toes a little bit for a deeper stretch. Releasing the toes, take the fingers to interlace behind the lower back. Shoulders pull toward each other, knuckles stretch away, up off your lower back or not. Let's release the hands. Bring those hands back up to the hips. Inhale, come halfway up. Support on the thighs if you need. And then nice and easy here, hinge all the way up. And we'll take our second side with those standing poses. So turning the right toes in a little bit or a lot, depending on where you're at. Left toes flip over to the back of the mat. And again here, the body stays as open to the side of your mat as you can. Extend the arms, reach forward and hinge over. So stacking the body, making sure the belly's working, leaning if you must lean on this left leg. Otherwise, maybe that left arm just dangles a little bit. Maybe it stretches forward. And maybe this right arm stretches forward over the head. Opening the arms again. Bring the right hand to the hip. Bend into the left knee and take those fingers forward. We're going to hop the back foot until you can lift the foot away from the floor. Maybe not today. Staying as open as you can to the side, belly's in, supporting if you need. Maybe this left arm doesn't need to be on the floor. Maybe the right arm can stretch toward the ceiling or over the ear. One more big breath. Releasing it all back into a warrior two. And then take the legs straight, hands to the hips, back into our straddle again. So come on over into a fold. Fingertips to the floor. Instead of having your toes point forward here, go ahead and turn them out to the corners a little bit, or a lot, depending. And again, you'll know when we start moving. With the exhalation, go ahead and bend into the right knee, sinking the hips over there. And then inhale back to the middle, and exhale over to the left. So like that side to side. As you go, watch the knee. Keep it behind the toes, in line with the toes. So if it's collapsing in, turn your toes in, right? Let's go once more on each side. And then back to center. Let's make our way over. Hands to the right foot. Back to the top of the mat, lunging, and into down dog. Go ahead and drop down to the knees. Take a little minute here in a child's pose. Kind of reset. And then we'll come back to down dog. So from our down dog here, take a quick shift into plank. Make sure your hands and feet are where they need to be for plank. And then lift your hips again. Stepping the left foot roughly halfway to the hands. Ish. Turn the toes out to the left so that foot's flat to the floor. And then roll to the outside edge of your right foot. Flex that foot like crazy. Left hand to the hip. And here we are in our side plank. Belly's in, shoulders are back. Make sure that right hand is happy if it needs a little extra cushion, or if you need the hand a little further forward of the shoulder, if it's too much for your shoulder, sometimes forward will help a bit. We're gonna take just a couple more breaths. And then release yourself back into your down dog. And then we're gonna switch sides. So the right foot, halfway to the hands. Turn the toes to the right, left foot, outside edge on the floor. So take a moment, make any adjustments that you need. Try not to let your hips droop. And then back to center again. Release the knees to the floor. Take a little break in your child's pose. And we're gonna work with that same pose again, and you can take lots of different variations. So let's come back to down dog. Step the left foot roughly halfway to the hands. Take that little shift into a plank just to make sure if you're a little unsure of it. Left foot halfway to the hands. Right heel to the floor into your side plank. So we've been here before, and this is absolutely fine. You can even take the right knee to the floor in this variation, right? If that's where you need to be. But if you don't, lean less into this left foot. And it feels like it would be impossible to pick it up off the floor, right? But maybe it's not. Use your belly and see if you can lift your toes, even if it's for a second. And yes, could you use a whole bunch of momentum? Sure. But try to just use your belly. And it's obviously more than just your belly, but you get the idea. Release it back again, roughly halfway to the hands. Rolling it to the outside of the left foot and finding where you need to be here. So maybe it's just leaning less, maybe it's bringing the left knee to the floor, or not needing to this time, or maybe the right toes can move. For a millisecond, a millimeter up off the floor, back to your down dog. Down to the knees, take child pose. So from here, take the arms and stretch them forward, but leave your elbows on the floor. Shift forward and come onto forearms and knees. So checking in with the arms, bring the elbows up under the shoulders. They like to be a little wider. See if you can bring them in a little bit. And then ideally here, there is a straight line from your middle finger all the way back through your elbow. And those lines are parallel to each other. If that does not happen in your universe, interlace your fingers out front. Depending on where your shoulders are and how tight they are, the wrists can sometimes be a little wonky. So find where you need to be. And here, step the feet back and come into a forearm plank. So the belly's in. It is so much easier here to have your butt sticking up in the air, but we don't want that. We also don't want the pelvis hanging on the floor. It's a heavy bone. It takes a lot of work. And if you need your knees, you need your knees. Take another breath. Drop the knees and sit back to child's pose again. So of course we can't leave that variation alone either, right? If that's where you need to stay, just holding a plain old forearm plank or being on the knees in a forearm plank, then that's where you're at. But maybe you can add on. So let's come forward, forearms and knees again. And if you want to check out a different position for your hands, maybe you didn't interlace before, but you want to now, or vice versa, feel free. Okay. Press down into the forearms, keeping the elbows hugging in, make sure your belly's working. And then go ahead and just step the feet back again, that plain old plank. Make sure your belly's working. And this is another place. It seems impossible to lift your right foot up off the floor, but try. And maybe you do and maybe you don't. Maybe that's 1/4 of an inch. Maybe it's for a millisecond, right? Release the right foot and then switch. Release the left foot, drop to the knees, and sit back into your child's pose again. Let's take the hands back toward the heels. Let the shoulders roll forward a little bit. And then keeping the hands back by the heels, simply sit up on your heels. So getting out of the habit of using the arms to get us everywhere. Let's bring the legs around front. Extending them long. Making sure that you feel upright on your pelvis, taking that inner thigh rotation, of course, if you need. Belly still working. Shoulders are down and back. We're going to extend the arms straight up toward the ceiling. So there's a straight line from the tips of your fingers back through your hips. You're going to keep that straight line no matter what. Right? Belly's working. Begin to hinge forward. And of course, your hamstrings will stop at some point. Right? But try and keep the straight line from your fingertips back through your hips. Right? So if you go too far or the back or the belly isn't working properly, you're going to get some sagging. Your knees may want to bend. Don't go that far. Keep the straight line. And yes, you could touch your toes here if you're laying your face on your shins, and otherwise probably not. We're taking one more breath. Hinge it back up. Change the arms if you feel it, if you need to. And then release. They're heavy. Feel really heavy there. So we're going to take the feet flat to the floor. Hanging onto the hamstrings here, take your arms almost straight. And then lift your chest like crazy. Feel your abs kick in. That's what you want to use here. Keeping that, maybe just lift your toes. Maybe lift your shins. Maybe extend your legs fully. And or let go. Soles of the feet together. Let's go ahead and grab onto the ankles. And then C-curve your spine so you roll back to the floor. Ankle or feet stay together. Let them come to the floor and just rest. Release the lower belly. For a minute anyway. And then the knees come together. And we'll hug them into the chest for a moment. One last pose for the belly. Bringing the knees over the hips. Engage the lower belly again. And then take your shins parallel to the floor. So there's roughly that 90-degree bend in the knee. We want to keep that same bend. So try not to straighten the leg, don't just bend the knee. Okay? Arms are where you want them to be for right now. With the breath, on the exhale, the right heel moves toward the floor. Maybe just touch, don't lean. Inhale, come on back to the middle. Exhale, the left heel. Inhale, center. And you're going to go side to side like that. Make sure that your lower belly is working at least as hard as your lower back. Again, trying to keep the knee bent to protect the lower back. But if you just bend the knee, nothing happens, right? But once more on each side. And then hug back to center again. I haven't done those in too long. So we're going to add on to that, of course, because that's what we do. Maybe, right? So if you still need your arms not engaged and just doing your lower body, then that's where you're at. Guys, bringing the legs into that same position, knees over hips, 90-degree bend in the knee. This time the arms are going to reach toward the ceiling. And we work across the body. So as the right heel moves toward the floor, the left thumb is coming to the floor overhead. And then we come back to the middle. Switching sides, left heel and right thumb. And you connect to the breath side to side like that. Try and keep the stationary body part stationary. Lower belly is engaged. And we're going to go one more time on each side. Coming back to the center, hugging the knees in and rocking. Let the feet come flat to the floor. And then one more time here, bring the soles of the feet together, let the knees fall to the sides, and release your belly. So it's done its job, just let it relax. And then the knees are going to come together. Let's open the arms out into a T position. Picking the hips up, take them to the right edge of your mat and drop your knees to the left. Rest your shoulders back. Leave the knees bent if you prefer, or maybe take the right leg straight, toes over toward the left hand if that's you. And just really try and lengthen out that right side of the body. Just another couple of big breaths. And then make our way back to the middle again. Switching sides, hips left, knees right. Relaxing the shoulders. Maybe extending the left leg or not. Couple more breaths on this side. And then back to center again. Once you're there, draw the knees back to the chest and rock. Squeeze the knees as tight in as you can, forehead toward the knees. And then give yourself a full body stretch. One little second more for effort. And then let that go. Bringing the arms down by your sides. Making sure that you're aligned. And then release the muscles. They're done. Finally. Coming back slowly to the breath. And then releasing control of it, but staying with it. Watch it just flow, do its thing. Keeping the mind quiet. Giving yourself just a few minutes to rest. Allow your breath to gradually deepen. Begin to restore gentle movement to the body. When you're ready, bring the feet flat. Slowly make your way up to seated. Sitting well, bringing the palms to touch. Bowing to the light within. Namaste. Yay, yoga. So thanks for practicing with me this morning. Hopefully that was just what you needed. And if it wasn't, you modified it in some way to make it better for you. All right, you guys, let me know if there's anything I can do for you, or if you have questions or requests or whatever. Please give me a shout. And I will see you next weekend. Have a wonderful weekend, y'all.